Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tuesday, April 18th Commission meeting. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to ask Jonathan to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which is stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Joe, would you like to lead us in a prayer?
Yeah, before I do that, I would like to ask us all remember my little hometown in Alabama had a bad tragedy this last week. It was in Dadeville, Alabama, where the shootings happened, and there was 4 young kids killed, and there's about 5 or 6 that are serious injuries, and there was 38 total injured. And it was over. We don't know the answers to why it happened. It was at a birthday party, and everything was fine, and then all of a sudden they started shooting. But it was all handguns type. But anyway, let's just keep that town in our prayers, okay? If we would, let's go to the Lord. Lord, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to serve. Lord, we thank you for this agency. We thank that you give us the time and give us the money, the availability of funds and all to operate this agency. We ask you to take this commission and this agency and everyone in it and let us do your will and not ours. We ask this in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Joe. All right, approval of minutes. Do we have any discussion on the minutes? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of today's agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda today? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Joe, it's all yours.
All right, thank you. We appreciate it. Just get started here. We'll let's see what we have. We got employment updates. We have Elizabeth Moore, who was promoted and to ENR Specialist 3 at the Grand Bay Near, and then we had a certification. Miss Christina Broussard is now certified as Shellfish Standardization Officer, and that's a big thing for the state of Mississippi to be able. We have 2 now, I think, that are certified, and that is huge because it helps us. And Christina, thank you so much. We appreciate it. You're in the back, aren't you? There she is. There's Christina. Thank you. We appreciate it. Let's see. I have to look at this calendar and make sure I'm doing things by that. There's no procurement updates, I don't think. Is anything on procurement? Is that correct? All right. So let's see the agency legislative session. Well, man, we lived. We're still here. I tell you what, that was a tough 90 days. But just to give you an idea, we had the commercial crab law that was bill that was passed, and that's where you only have to have a license for the boat and not everybody on it. And so that's great. That was passed and signed by the governor. Our Marine Patrol bill was signed by the governor to allow the Marine Patrol officers to work and do the things that they can in federal waters and do that, and he was signed by the governor. The Secretary of State, Eric Clark, there's an area that we have that they're named after him over in Hancock County area. And then we have a new island called Galat Island, and that's what the big island out here in the middle of the bay is now named after Senator Tommy Galat. It's the Galat Island, and we also have a new park, and it's called Godfather, and that's on the Point Cadet out there. So area. So we got those things was named after a senator who had 52 years. The longest standing senator in the state of Mississippi ever. So we're proud to have that. So our own bottom bill, Senate Bill 2544, is still with the governor. We're working out some details on it, and it's for how we're going to lease the bottoms. And so we're meeting and trying to work that out, and we'll get something put together in the next day or 2, and the governor has to Thursday to sign it, and I think it'll be okay, and we'll get things signed, but it'll be how we can lease the bottoms. And what we've done in that with the bill, it basically states that the state of Mississippi is keeping about 20% of it, and we're going to lease 80% of the permitted bottoms. And now I don't think we'll lease 80%. I think we'll lease a portion of that 80% because there's a lot of land out there and it costs a lot of money to do an on bottom fishery. And we'll find out. We're going to have to go through a process. And once we go through that process, we'll decide what we're going to do and how things are going to work. And hopefully we can get something done in a short period of time. We're trying as quick as possible, but we just want to do it right. That's the number one thing. We're going to make sure that everything's done legal, and we don't have any issues about it. Any questions on that? Okay, internships, we're expecting 10 this summer. So that's a great deal. We're going to be able to have some interns come in and work with us. We have them in almost every area. And I tell you, we've been very lucky with interns. We will bring them in for a year or 2 years or something. They work with us. And next thing you know, when they graduate from college, they come back and get a job here. And that's fantastic. And that's what we need. And it works out the way it's supposed to work. So that is fantastic. We had the Gulf of Mexico Fisheries Management Council meeting and reception with IMMS last week. Great turnout. IMMS, Moby and them did a great job for us, and we were able to have a cookout and cooked at IMMS, and we had oysters, shrimp, and flounder, and all the trimmings. And Charmaine and them did a good job. Marine Patrol did a great job too, cooking and all. But it was beautiful. Once again, they told me, we had this in October here, and we had the one downtown Biloxi, and they said we did not believe you could top it, but you did. And so now we set the bar so high. I don't know what the heck we're going to do next. We're going to have to go to, I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to come up with something. But Moby and them even had a dolphin show for us and everything else. The people were just ecstatic. And, I don't think any of us could have ordered the weather God gave us that day. It was so wonderful. So it was just a beautiful time, and everybody worked hard. And Crystal and Charmaine worked hard trying to get the stuff put together too, and we're setting it up and all the team. So great deal. If you want to know what come out of the council, about the same it's always been. We got a little bit here and a little bit there, but we are working on some stuff, and they did basically. We're going to put some working group together and be able to look at the stepper, because they are agreeing that we do have some issues. And they're looking at that, so we'll talk some more about that in just a minute. But basically, just a standard council, and all the minutes will be out shortly on it. My DMR will be closed on Monday the 24th for Confederate Memorial Day. Give you an update on our derelict vessels. We have a total of 83 vessel cases that have been reported since July the 1st of last year. We have removed 62 of them. We have 20 of them that are pending removal, and one that is received in court for a court order to remove. So great job by that team. They're doing a great job. Stephen doing a job. He's legal on all that and doing a great job with us. And Roy Lipscomb is heading up everything with it, and they're doing a great job to get that stuff moved. And Glenn's working with them too. All right, let's get to what I want to talk about a little bit. Endorsement, some type of endorsement for federal license or something, a fee. And what we're talking about, when we was talking to the council and talking to NOAA and talking to some other states at the Gulf Council, one of the things that some of the states are doing is putting some type of endorsement and to be able to go out and federally fish. And what I'm talking about is our recreational fishermen. And what happens is Mississippi sells about 80,000 saltwater licenses a year. And out of that 80,000, NOAA just says basically everybody fishes. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, but they sample 80,000. If we could do some type of endorsement to where we said if you're going to federally fish, and mainly reef fish is what we're looking at, but if you're going to federally fish, if we did some type of endorsement or some type of fee for that, and we could put it on the license, then we could be able to cut that down to probably 8,000 people. if I'm just throwing a number, but that's, 10%. And so now NOAA would agree with that and say, we'll sample that. Well, that could help us a tremendous amount, because that's why we took such a big cut in the amount of snapper allocation that we have, is because MREP and the way MREP works, it was done off of calibration. And if we can use this, we can still follow our calibration, but it'll help bring us up to where we need to be. And, Trevor, you and Rick and Matt, any of y'all come up here, but I'm sure the commissioners have something. But I'd like to discuss the possibility of what y'all think about that.
One question off of what you just said that I want to clarify. You said federally fish. This would still include people that are planning on snapper fishing, even if they're not leaving state waters, correct?
I think it's just federal is all we got to worry about on it, isn't it?
So the premise behind it is fishing in the EEZ. The council can't manage fisheries within state waters, but I think you could potentially include fishing for federal species as well. I mean, but the intent was federal waters. Yes.
Okay.
I believe that if it gives us an opportunity to, give some real hard evidence of the actual quantity of people that are snapper fishing, I believe it's a good opportunity for us to, show how many people are actually going out there and catching snapper compared to the 80,000.
Yeah, and we agree with that, and in hopes that if the states can work together with the council and with NOAA and with Gulf States Marine Fisheries Commission, that we could come up with a plan to be able to utilize, the effort that's going to be collected. Because if it's not utilized, then there's really no point in doing it. But if we could take it and hone it in and start targeting that effort, targeting those individuals for the offshore effort for those federally managed species, and we should be able to get somewhere in a much better place. But we all got it. That's why we're coordinating together, and they're not just because right now Louisiana does it, Alabama does it, and so to come up with a collaborative effort where everybody's being consistent and collecting the same information and implementing it. If NOAA will implement it the way it needs to be implemented, that it could be very beneficial.
Rick, do you know what Alabama and Louisiana, are they charging a fee?
I'm gonna say it's a very, very low fee, $10 maybe, something like that, $10-15.
I mean, they are charging a fee of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
and which helps offset their program too.
Correct. And what it does, and you've alluded to it, instead of just clicking a box when you buy a license, you could still have 80,000 people if it's free. But if it has a small fee associated with it, then you're going to think about it before you buy it. And all right, well, I'll wait till I actually go snapper fishing before I purchase this. And so having a fee with it has a lot of validity. And if we put it at the right amount, it shouldn't be too much of a injustice to the angler and still achieve what we're trying to.
So is this endorsement specific to snapper or any type of reef fish?
Well, it's going to be reef fish. We're saying snapper because that's our, that's
Any
95% of what we're landing
Okay.
here in Mississippi.
And the way, basically what it does, it just it takes that sample size, and Trevor talked to me, you're in the SSE. The sample size, if I lower that sample size from 80,000 to 8,000, what does that do to us?
Well, what it kind of gets you is a targeted universe to be able to send out your effort survey to. The way MREP does it right now, it's a random address send out across the board. It's not from the licensed data frame. It's a random address across the entire state of Mississippi, which is then matched to a licensed database. The success that Louisiana had with their program is utilizing their licensed database directly to be able to get effort estimates, and then using non-compliance to increase those effort estimates for folks who are fishing without a license. That's the most logical way to go about this, and what gets you consistent numbers. The process we're seeing with MREP right now is that it doesn't provide that consistency, because it's saying that 80% of our effort is coming from an unlicensed or unmatched strata, which makes no sense at all, right? That's assuming that we have a large scale non-compliance with fishing licenses, and that's just not what we observe. So it'd be a fundamental change in how it's operated. It would shrink the universe down. It would allow us to focus to it and basically say, this is the best way for us to approach reef fish landings. It needs to be tailored.
Well, and if somebody goes to the effort of buying a license to do this, they're kind of like a duck stamp, a federal duck stamp that you buy or whatever. Number one, they're going to hunt or in a duck stamp, and number two, they're going to fish in this. Is on the majority of the people are going to, if you charge a fee for it, and then on top of that, most of them that what I've talked to people pretty much are accurate about what they do because they know what it means. They know what it means to the fisheries, and they know what it means to the state and what it means to the resource. And so they want to maintain the resource just like we do and everything else. And so they're more accurate about doing it. Where if you just sample someone out here that is not even going fishing or anything, they don't really pay that much attention about it. If you're not a duck hunter, you don't really care.
Yeah.
But yet you got a duck stamp. But if you pay $25 and get a federal duck stamp, then you're gonna probably care, and that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, and that's a discussion that's being had and needs to be had amongst the states because it's a state-specific priority. But if you bring it back to like the hunting realm, you're almost comparing something like the HIP permit, which is just simple add-on tack-on, which likely has oversubscription, right? You probably have more people getting that HIP permit that never touch any migratory birds at all versus the duck stamp where it's, costs a little bit of money to spend it. That helps you rid that oversubscription problem. And then it also allows you to bring in those funds like what the duck stamp does to be able to put toward habitat or programs to monitor harvest, all that kind of stuff. It would kind of give us that same ability.
I fill out the HIP every year, whether or not I end up hunting or not, but I don't buy that duck stamp till the night before.
Right. That's a perfect example. And the alternative and what the way this was proposed is that the people that proposed it wanted a federal license. The South Atlantic Council is going down this route of a federal license, and I think NOAA and the states both agree that the states are better off to handle this. We already have the infrastructure in place, and we will utilize it the way we will implement it the way it needs to be implemented at a fairness for the angler. And so that's why we're pushing for the individual states to be doing it collaboratively rather than NOAA implementing a license.
Yeah, and I do think that if we do it as a state, it'll be a lot more reasonable price, and we'll be able to do that. And as Rick said, each state has their own process now. Now we have what I'd like for y'all to do is basically, if you don't mind doing it, is direct the agency to move forward and to try to come up with a plan of how to do this, either an endorsement or either a permit or a extra license fee, whatever it would be. Would y'all be willing to do something like that?
I'm absolutely in favor of it. I would like for us to make every effort to explain to the public the benefit of this, because I can see a lot of naysayers saying, "Oh, they're just adding something else to us," and that's not it at all. We're working towards increasing what they're able to do.
Well, and Rick, do we have any data from Alabama and Louisiana about the percentage of participation that they received on this endorsement?
I know, like Trevor said, Louisiana's their compliance rate's pretty high, and I think Alabama's pretty close too, right? They just started, but it's in the upper 80s, 90% compliance rate.
No, I'm talking about so if you get the saltwater license and you want the federal endorsement, what percentage of the
percentage,
saltwater license gets the federal endorsement?
We can get those specific numbers for you, no problem.
It's got to be considerably less. I'm
Oh,
sure it is, and I know in Mississippi it'd be considerably less. But I mean, some of the people in Mississippi when they buy a sportsman's license, and it had, do you want saltwater? They didn't buy it. They just like to support people. A lot of people just like to support wildlife fisheries.
And it takes that type of mindset. You're just making it hassle free. So if you want to go saltwater fishing, you already have it. But just to give you, we got about 3,000 to 5,000 tails and scales users, and that's going to be the majority of your universe. We're thinking about 8,000, 10,000 is the most, but about 3,000 to 5,000 is what you're going to see here.
Now, what would this do to Mississippi if we didn't participate in something like this and the other states are? How would that affect our data and our share allocation?
I don't think it'd be very, very beneficial to us to not participate in it.
Well, and we do want, as Ronnie said, we want the people to understand, and this is something that we won't just come and ask you to do. We'll put together a process, and maybe by next meeting, if it's okay with y'all, that we'll put together some information and we'll bring it out, and then we'd have public notice on it, and then we'd go out and have a public meeting on it. But, just something for people to understand. And I agree with you 100%. We want everybody to be 100% understanding what we can as much as possible. But this is the benefit to the fishermen, even though it's cost them a little bit of money. And, what the fee is, I don't know. We'd have to look at that. If it's a fee, what we want to do, we would have to look at it and make sure that this is okay. But if it's all right with y'all, we'll move forward to looking at this.
Absolutely.
I don't think we have to have a motion or anything, Sandy. Do we can just do this.
I think the sooner we can move forward, the better, because Memorial Day is right around the corner.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to get anything done between now and this season, but at least we'll have something for the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the goal would be for the 2024
yeah,
season. to
at
have
least
it.
we'll have something to put in there.
Yeah, and the council at the last count, the council charged the states to come together and start working on it. And like the director said, there's a working group that's going to start doing this and try to get all the. So we can implement the avenue to do it, but the data collection part, the states are working on it collectively. They're not concerned with what the mechanism is, as long as the mechanism's there, and that's what we can do here.
And if we had something today to bring forth, it would still have to go out on public comment, and that's 30 days, and then we would still have to do others. So this is a situation we're going to probably be into 2024, but at least it gives us something to work with to get headed in the right direction.
I think
Anybody
that's
else have any
great
questions?
idea.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
No, sir. Sounds
All right,
good to me.
sir. I think right now that's all I have, unless something pops up in my head before the meeting's over.
All right.
Director, you want me to talk about Marine Discovery Day? Marine Discovery Day?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so we just want to let y'all know on May the 6th, we're going to be taking a lot of, we're going to take the agency and some other entities, USM and Mississippi State and IMMS and some others up to the Museum of Natural Science for a marine education. It's called Marine Discovery Day, but it's essentially a marine education outreach day. The whole premise behind this is I think everybody down on the coast does a great job of educating the public on the coastal resources we have down here, but there's 70 something other counties that don't get to enjoy our resources like we do. So we want to go somewhere centralized. We're going to the Museum of Natural Science and going to bring our natural resources down here up there to share with all of them. It's easier to do that than go to different schools when they call you. If they can get it, we can get everybody to come to one centralized location and talk about our natural resources down here, then that's the plan. And we're going to do that May the 6th at the Museum of Natural Science from 10 to 3. And I feel fairly certain this will be the first of many of these to come. So
That's a great idea.
I do have one other thing. See, you caught me. The legislature did give us the funds available. They gave us availability to get the funds. If we want to come out from under MREP, under NOAA, they did put the funds in there for us this year to be able to use that. It would cost the state about $750,000 a year to do it. What we're trying to do is, and NOAA knows this, and Janet Court knows it, who is the head of NOAA Marine Fisheries, and they're very hard trying to keep us from doing that. They don't want us to come out from under them. They want us to stay there, and we'd love for them to pay the $750,000 a year and not the state of Mississippi. But if we're not going to do it unless we can make it work, and if we see that we can't work out something to be able to do it, then we have the funds to do that, and we will move forward, and we will come out. And that would mean that from now on, we would do our own MRAP, and that's what the money would be for, and we would pay for it, and then we would do our own study, and it wouldn't be a NOAA study as to how we did it. And that's exactly what Louisiana did. And you have to do it for 1 year side by side, and NOAA would pay their part, and we'd pay our part, and then after that it's all us. And but they went up 100 something thousand pounds this year
So
because of that great, their study, because they did get it certified, and we could get ours certified.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Oh, no, go ahead, Cam.
I was just gonna ask if that was a third party or if they actually, they performed the study in-house, Louisiana.
They do it in-house, I think is how they do it. And, they basically have people hired to be able to do it. Same way we would do if we, we have people that do MREP that gets paid by NOAA right now. We would just turn those people over to being paid by the state, through us, through our funds.
So what are we trying before we implement that?
Trying to get NOAA to understand, and what they're doing is they're looking at the possibility of adjusting the allocation. And if they can adjust the allocation, they've got a proposal in right now to raise ours to like 83,000. And then they also looking at a couple of states, a possibility of them donating X amount to us until we can get this new study done and get everything completed. And if they can do that, then, at least they're working with us, and at least we're getting somewhere. And, but if we don't see that it's working the way that we feel like it, we'll just pull the plug and go forward the way we can. And we do have, thanks to the legislators, we do have and the governor, we have the capability of doing that.
All right.
All right?
All right, that's all. Do the commissioners have anything to report today?
We have the actions update.
Oh,
Oh,
See, y'all told me, actions update.
At the March meeting, the commission recommended the approval of the requested variances, proposed mitigation plan, and requested permit with the condition that a traffic control plan be reviewed and approved prior to construction for the Jackson County Board of Supervisors to construct a boat ramp associated with associated piers, dredge canal, and parking area at the intersection of Beach Bayou Avenue and Racetrack Road in Biloxi. That traffic control plan has been submitted. It shows that the road is going to be rerouted to the north, which will increase pedestrian safety in that area. And then we had approval of state saltwater finfish records, all tackle blue line tilefish for Joshua Taylor, and conventional tackle Gulf smoothhound Cooper Siebert. And then in other business, let's see. Chairman Daniels requested that the agency take a look at kayak guides and speak to the agency's statement on same. I think Trevor is going to do an update on that later on today.
Yep.
Okay. And that's it.
thank you, Miss Sandy.
Maybe I'm through now.
You done? You sure? All right, commissioners, anything from y'all?
No, sir.
All right, we're gonna move into Marine Patrol. Yeah, it is cheap this month.
How y'all doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, I'm well. Glad to see you all well. I would just like to start to say that all these shootings we've been having in the last weeks have really strained us to an end as a country and a community. But I do think our tenaciousness as a country and a community that we will get through it, and we'll stay strong while we do that. All right, enough of that. The commission report itself, or the Marine Patrol Citation Report, all your officers have been doing a phenomenal job staying on top of things and staying safe out there and with the general public, keeping them safe. There were several citations written this month. Checked over 1,500 folks this month, and which is pretty common. I think it's gonna double when the boating season really kicks off. So the officers are prepared and they are looking forward to the task itself. Any questions on any of the citations? I will field any questions.
It's pretty straightforward to me. Nothing?
Okay. Well, what we're going to have, I think we also have a wake zone proposal. Deputy Chief Jax will proceed over that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Good morning. This is a request for reconsideration from Jackson County I received right after our last commission meeting last month. As y'all know, we tabled in June or July of 22. There was 4 parts to a no-wake zone in Fort Bayou, and they are asking for reconsideration for what was leg number 4. And it's just an extension of the already existing state required no wake zone. There's a boat ramp that's underneath the bridge at Fort Bayou. And the state required no wake zone exists east and west 100 feet from the boat ramp adjacent to it, which just allows for the wake zone to extend to what we call the dolphins, which are the pilings that are gathered together as you enter the channel going under the bridge. That's the only thing that's covered under that 100-foot. So what they're requesting in Jackson County is an extension east and west. It's a total of 1,600. 1 second. It's 1,620 feet, I believe. And there's a view of the proposed no wake zone. Leg 4 of the original proposed no wake zone, which is what we're considering today. The effects to boaters are vessels will be traveling from the proposed coordinates at idle speed for 3 minutes and 22 seconds. That also includes the existing no wake zone, which isn't an awful long time to be under no wake. Special considerations in the area. Leg 4 will only be an extension of the state required no wake zone, as I said. And southwest of Fort Bayou Bridge is a marina. It's open to the effects of wakes, and there's several large vessels that are moored there. So with the existing no wake zone, as vessels start to come down and plow, they're causing a bigger wake in that area, that marina, if we don't consider it. So the Office of Marine Patrol endorses the establishment of no wake zone, leg number 4, due to public access areas which people fish, boat, and socialize.
So, why does it go so much further to the southwest than it does the northeast?
I believe that it, I've already gone past it. Sorry, Karen. Right there. I believe the reason why is as you can see to the east, there's very little areas for public to gather. You can see, I don't know where the pointer is on this thing, but you can see the open marina just to the west of the bridge right there. That's a large area where people gather. There's also some piers behind Aunt Jenny's restaurant, and there's another large structure that's just at the end of the west side of there. And I think they want to cover all of that.
Yeah, not only that, but there's the way when you go into the boat launch, you have to enter from the west side. There's a pier, so you can't
Correct.
get to the east side from the boat launch. You actually have to come out under the bridge and go west. So I know this area well, and I believe it'll be beneficial to be able to extend it. It bottlenecks. There's a lot of boats coming in there and then coming out at the same time. So
Yeah, I was about to say that's your backyard.
it is. Yeah, it would definitely help. And there's more development coming in. I think Gulf Hills is looking at at some point doing a marina. So it's just going to add traffic, and and all those boats that's a pretty busy spot. In the
It's very
summertime.
busy.
They're all coming to the west.
We were there covering a call recently, and there was a lot of activity, and it does bottleneck right there under the bridge. So I can imagine as vessels start to come down to meet the no wake zone, those are like 40 to 50 foot vessels that are moored at that marina, and they're probably taking the brunt of all that wake.
Anybody got anything else? All right.
We need a motion, is that right, Sandy?
Do we have a motion to approve the staff recommendation?
I'll make the motion to approve the staff recommendation for the leg 4 of the no wake zone.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Looks like we have Miss Leslie Brewer up with Finance and Administration. Oh, nope.
Leslie's not here today. Sad to say that her father passed away.
Oh, no.
And so keep her in your prayers.
My name is Brandy Busby. I'm the Director of Finance and Accounting, and I'll present the financials for the month ending March 31st, 2023. Okay. At the end of March, our state revenue was $5.1 million, and total agency revenue was $22.3 million. Our state net income was a negative $746,000, and agency net income was a negative $3.7 million. After 9 months of fiscal year 2023, the agency has 84.5% budget remaining, while Thailand's budget has 45.4% of budget remaining. Do y'all have any questions?
Oh, ma'am, thank you. All right, public affairs.
Good morning, Commissioners, Director Spraggins, Legal Counsel. The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources had 11 media mentions since the March MACMR meeting. News items included a boating accident in Ocean Springs, oysters in Mississippi, and the list of Thailand's and Go Mesa projects on the coast. Marine Patrol participated in a boater safety presentation at D'Iberville Library on March 30th, the Hancock Middle School Share Fair on April 6th, and the St. Mark's Open House and Community Fair on April 15th. Marine Patrol, along with the Office of Marine Fisheries, participated in North Bay Elementary Night Out on March 28th. The Finfish Bureau's John Barr and Megan Fleming worked with approximately 75 fifth grade students from Ocean Springs Upper Elementary School on March 31st, where the students observed seining and reviewed through the collected samples on East Beach and Ocean Springs. The Oyster Harvester training class on April 4th had 7 participants, with 5 of the participants attending virtually and 2 in person. The NEAR, the Office of Marine Fisheries, Coastal Resources Management, National Heritage Area, Marine Patrol, and Public Affairs did a great job at this year's Celebrate the Gulf Marine Education Festival on April 1st. Hundreds of attendees took part in our agency's festival held at Memorial Park in Pass Christian. Participants learned all about our Mississippi Gulf Coast through fun and educational activities from a variety of agencies and organizations who helped us put on this wonderful event.
That was another one where we lucked up on the weather. It was supposed to rain from daylight till dark, and they ended up having some really decent weather for that one. Thank you, Charmaine. All right, Trevor, kayak.
All right. Morning again, commissioners. Karen, you mind pulling up that bench request paragraph that was up earlier? The request. All right. So, our office and Marine Patrol have worked together to get some background information, not only for, you know, what we have on the books for our state, but also what's going on across the Gulf on the subject. Essentially, what it comes down to is that nearly all states, except for one, which I'll discuss here in a minute, consider charter fishing directly applicable to a vessel. And now there's a reason for that, right? The vessel then ties in an OUPB license, which then brings in safety and first aid, insurance, you know, the captain's license requirements for knowing how to boat properly, all that kind of stuff. So that's typically why all this stuff is tied into a vessel. There's one state, Texas, who has what is called a all-water paddlecraft fishing guide license, and that deals specifically with kayaks. Now, what they do, right, in order to ensure that there are other requirements associated with that license, are put in safety and first aid training, a paddlecraft course, and associated like TPWD boater safety course, stuff like that, right? So there's a couple options to consider here. So status quo right now is that if those individuals are participating in that kind of activity, everyone has to have a fishing license across the board, right? There is no specific charter endorsement for a kayak. Since they can't meet the current state statute rules that are applied to the charter boat licenses, technically it's, you know, they don't have to provide the captain's license associated with vessel registration, right? Because it's a kayak. So if we keep status quo, everyone would have to have a license. That activity would keep undergoing, you know, essentially not being licensed by the state. If you want us to develop language and look further into it, then the direction we would go is probably write up some draft language with whatever requirements that the commission sees fit, if that's what y'all wish to pursue. And those requirements might include things like the necessary certifications or courses that are associated with it, and also maybe something like insurance, since that's a requirement on the current charter captain side. As far as the in-state and out-of-state thing, how Texas handles it currently is that a resident gets a certain fee, and then the non-resident fee for it is 5 times higher than the resident. But we would have the options to do how the commission would like to proceed on it. If they want to do the same thing as Texas and charge a higher fee and all that, since there aren't licenses available in other states and reciprocity doesn't fall in, we would essentially, have the ability to set what we feel would be the correct price for it.
So did we find out anything? I know Marine Patrol chief said they were going to look into trying to. Do we know what the realm of this thing is? Because right now I'm just working off of hearsay.
Yeah, to my knowledge, I think Colin them looked in. I'll say that me and Matt poured back through our memories, and probably have less than a half dozen times where we've gotten calls about this specific subject, and folks asking what the requirements are.
We found one instant out of Mobile, for that matter. Nothing towards the west, anything. So it's pretty. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but as of within the last 6 months, no.
Okay, so y'all didn't find anybody advertising this type of service, or
Not a one.
okay. I think it's something definitely worth keeping an eye on. I mean, the kayak fishery is a really cool thing for a lot of people, and it has really exploded. My fear is if we do have people doing this, just making sure that level of safety is there.
Of course.
Especially people coming from other places, and that's a situation that you can get in trouble real quick.
I agree.
I've seen a lot of videos of people flipping over in those things, fighting a fish, and firsthand knowledge of some people that accidentally ended up on Cat Island from
right.
Long Beach. So,
And we got to go get them.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
Exactly. All right. Well,
Trevor.
Real quick on that. Hey, when I know Wildlife just passed a bill for charter fishing in state waters as far as as freshwater. Is there anything in their bill about that? Do you know?
I think Matt's got a pretty good knowledge of it, but from what I remember reading, it still ties it into a vessel-based activity, which then brings in, all those requirements.
all right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All righty. Nothing on Grand Bay Near. Do we have any other business today?
Just one thing I would ask if the commission would to close in honor today of 2 people, Mr. Robert McClellan, who is Mickey's son. He worked with us, and he fought a battle of cancer for a long time and passed away at 34, 35 years old. So if we could close in his memory. And then also Leslie's dad, Mr. Robert Cowett, if we could close in their memory today, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we have no public comments, so we're going to move forward with closing today's meeting in their memory and in their honor. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor? Thank you, everybody.